The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafts through the air, a soothing tradition that has consistently heralded the start of my day. Yet today it seems like a jest, a vivid juxtaposition to the chaos stirring inside me. My name is Gabrielle, and until recently my life was a tapestry woven with threads of joy. As a graphic designer by profession, I find that in the serene moments of my free time, I immerse myself in the fluid movements of my paintbrush. In our little family, there's my husband Luke, an engineer whose heart beats for DIY projects, and our dog Bear, a golden retriever with a tail that could chase away even the darkest clouds. Our home, tucked away in the heart of suburbia, was more than merely a structure. It was our refuge. The walls resonated with joy. The kitchen transformed into a realm of culinary creativity, and the adjacent woods became our sanctuary for weekend escapades. Life appeared flawless, yet as I sit here, pen ready to dance across the page, I find myself haunted by the shadows that have quietly woven themselves into this seemingly perfect tapestry. I've always held my integrity close, allowing my moral compass to steer my journey through life. Yet here I am grappling with a hidden truth that weighs heavily on my conscience, not only towards Luke, but also against the core of my identity. The past week has unfolded like a dramatic tale, unraveling the threads of our marriage and prompting me to ponder how I allowed this chapter to unfold. It started off quite simply, or at least that was my impression. A new client at the design firm whose vision for their project sparked a flame of creativity within me that had long been dormant. Once upon a time there was a man named Ethan, whose ideas sparkled with the same vibrancy as his larger-than-life personality. Our gatherings flowed seamlessly from the realm of work to the intimate, with conversations about design intertwining with late-night chats over wine. The initial occurrence felt as if a tempest had swept in unexpectedly. One moment we were immersed in a conversation about color palettes, and the next, the atmosphere crackled with an energy that transcended the project itself. It was a kiss, surprising in its arrival, yet warmly embraced. That solitary choice, that fleeting lapse in judgment, has now transformed into a storm poised to dismantle all that I cherish. What journey brought me to this moment? The question lingers in the quiet of my home, where the gentle rhythm of Bear's snoring fills the air. In the quiet of the workshop, Luke immerses himself in his craft, his hands skillfully molding wood into exquisite forms, while I remain here, my heart shattered and heavy. The hidden truth I hold is more than merely a kiss. It's about the nights that unfolded where limits faded and paths intertwined. Every meeting was a stroke on a canvas I never planned to create, each one more vibrant, more audacious than the previous. As I reflect on the tapestry of our shared journey, I notice the flaws, the little blemishes I've woven into it. I've always held a deep respect for transparency, yet here I find myself concealing a reality that could break us apart. What a twist of fate this has turned out to be. The weight of remorse clings to me, a ceaseless wave wearing away at the foundations of my soul. In a moment of weakness, I turned my back on Luke, yet in that act I also turned away from my own true self. This secret feels like a heavy burden pressing down with an unbearable intensity. Each moment Luke gazes at me with his trusting eyes, and every time Bear leaps towards me with pure joy, I sense the growing divide between my actions and my values. As I pen these words, I'm not merely chronicling my descent, but embarking on a journey toward renewal. How can I share my truth without causing chaos? How do I bring together the woman I am now with the one I have always aspired to be? This narrative goes beyond mere infidelity. It delves into the disintegration of a life woven from trust, affection, and collective aspirations. It's a tale of the tempest that has arrived to test the very core of our union. As I sit here pen poised, I realize that the greatest challenge lies not only in revealing the truth to Luke, but also in confronting the reflection of my own decisions. The week began just like all the ones before it. Luke immersed himself in a new project at work, frequently returning home late, which meant I found myself sharing more moments with Bear. Our evenings unfolded with leisurely strolls, captivating films, and at times simply basking in the quiet, cherishing the presence of one another. Bear, my loyal friend, appeared to understand my solitude, remaining steadfastly by my side. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I received a message from Luke, letting me know he'd be running even later than usual. In that moment, I chose to pour myself a glass of wine, seeking a little solace as the evening stretched on. As I sat there, Bear instinctively leaned in his gentle presence, wrapping around me like a warm embrace, soothing my spirit. As the night deepened, my mind drifted not to Luke, but to the emptiness that seemed to expand between us. In those hushed moments, my thoughts wandered to Ethan, to the exhilarating rush of our hidden meetings, the tantalizing allure that had become an addiction I couldn't shake off. I filled my glass once more, the wine dancing in the vessel, much like the tales weaving through my mind. The stillness of the house wrapped around me like a heavy blanket, and the soft rhythm of Bear's snoring was the lone reminder that I had company in this quiet moment. As I reflected on my time with Ethan, I could vividly recall the sparkle in his eyes whenever he shared his dreams, and how his gentle touch would send delightful chills coursing through me. It was mesmerizing, this waltz along the boundaries of right and wrong, and I found myself entranced by its cadence. The following day, I attempted to concentrate on my tasks, yet my thoughts wandered far away. Ethan's project unfolded with great intensity, pulling us into long hours, and our gatherings often lingered into the night. In the air hung a silent tension, an invisible force drawing us nearer with every fleeting second. Our conversation danced around design, yet there was an unmistakable sense of something deeper lurking beneath the surface. That evening, while I awaited Luke's arrival, I felt compelled to reach out to Ethan through a text. Initially, the dialogue was straightforward, focused on project specifics, but before long it took a turn into more intimate realms. We exchanged tales, chuckled through messages, and before I realized it, I found myself inviting him over for a drink, pretending it was to delve deeper into the project. As he stepped in, the atmosphere buzzed with eager expectation. We settled onto the couch, glasses in hand, the air around us buzzing with a mix of excitement and fear. Our conversation unfolded like a captivating tale, each word drawing us nearer to the brink of discovery. And then it unfolded once more. As our hands grazed, an electric moment unfolded, and in an instant our lips collided in a kiss that blurred boundaries I once held sacred. The kiss intensified, drawing me into a swirling mix of longing and remorse. Ethan stepped closer, closing a distance that never should have existed between us. And deep down, I understood I should put an end to it. Yet, the desire for this bond, this affirmation, overwhelmed my better judgment. In a moment of weakness, I let the situation slip beyond control, far from where I ever thought I'd go, enveloped by the shadows and the intensity of the moment. The aftermath unfolded like a chilling tale of truth. As Ethan drove away, I lingered in the doorway, my gaze following his car as it faded into the darkness, burdened by the gravity of my actions. The house echoed with an unsettling stillness, amplifying the weight of my own remorse. Bear, sensing my inner struggle, settled his head on my lap, his eyes reflecting a deep sense of empathy. It was clear to me that I needed to step up to acknowledge what I had done and embrace what lay ahead. But how can that be achieved? How do you share with the man you love that you've strayed not only in body but in heart as well? The image of Luke's expression, his faith broken, was too much to bear. Yet the more I held on to this secret, the sharper the blade of betrayal would pierce. I found myself in the guest room for the night, unable to confront the bed that held memories of Luke. Rest slipped through my fingers as my thoughts spun tales of revelation and clash. Bear remained by my side, a gentle solace amidst the turmoil of my thoughts. The following morning I rose with a sense of determination. I had to put a stop to this. I had to share with Luke to unveil the truth, regardless of the consequences. As I stood in the kitchen, the coffee pot released its familiar scent, teasing me with the comfort of routine that I was on the verge of disrupting. I stood there anticipating Luke's arrival, my mind swirling with phrases, each iteration cutting deeper than the one before. As he stepped inside, his grin pierced through me, like a blade leaving a mark that lingered long after. I inhaled deeply, the phrases lingering just at the edge of my lips, poised to reveal to embark on the arduous path toward atonement. The following day passed quietly. But as evening approached, Luke's call broke the stillness. He shared that he would be spending the night at a work conference. Once more, I found myself in solitude, pouring another glass of wine, the heaviness of my loneliness settling in around me. Bear, ever in tune with my feelings, nestled beside me on the couch. In a moment of vulnerability, I found solace in his presence as I gently stroked him, letting the warmth of the connection wash over me. In the dim light, the wine blurred my perceptions, and amidst a swirl of confusion and solitude, what began as a need for comfort became a confusing swirl of emotion. I felt a deep loneliness that blurred my sense of right and wrong. The moment of understanding washed over me, chilling and profound. What will Gabrielle do to navigate the consequences of her unexpected blunder? The morning light poured in bright and relentless, spilling through the windows and stretching shadows across the room like tales waiting to be told. I found myself in a tangle of sheets, a sense of disorientation washing over me as if I had stepped into a narrative that wasn't my own. The ache in my head was more than just a consequence of the wine. It was a heavy reminder of the choices I had made. Bear, feeling the change in the atmosphere, let out a soft whimper, his tail lacking its usual joyful wag. My gaze was drawn elsewhere, avoiding him completely. The weight of remorse hung heavy, a dense mist that obscured every idea. I rose from my slumber, my actions feeling robotic, and followed the familiar steps of my morning ritual. The coffee maker hissed and sputtered, echoing like a harsh reminder of the secrets I held within. I stood there gazing at the dark liquid as if peering into a chasm of my own creation. The day unfolded before me, vast and intimidating. I realized it was time to face this head-on, to uncover the reasons that had led me into such depths of despair and uncertainty. As I settled at the kitchen table, cradling the warm mug in my hands, I found myself sifting through the scattered pieces of my broken self-image. In the stillness, the phone buzzed, shattering the quietude. There was Luke, his voice bright and full of life, inquiring about the adventures of my night. I navigated through the week just fine, with my voice barely rising above a whisper. The deception lingered on my tongue, sharp and unpalatable, much like the coffee that had lost its appeal. As the hours slipped by, I wandered aimlessly from one room to another, evading the weight of Bear's stare, which felt like an unspoken judgment hanging in the air. I attempted to immerse myself in my work, to get lost in the vibrant hues and intricate patterns of my designs. Yet my thoughts wandered, cycling through the previous night's happenings, weighed down by a sense of shame and regret. As night fell, the house transformed into a silent witness, every corner resonating with the whispers of my past missteps. I found myself yearning for a listener, someone to share my thoughts with, but who could that be? Luke was simply not an option. Just imagining how he would react was enough to freeze me in place. My companions, they could never grasp the depths of it all. This was a secret shrouded in shadows too strange and unsettling to reveal. As I set out with Bear by my side, I envisioned the tales that the fresh air might inspire, hoping it would bring clarity to my thoughts. The woods, often a sanctuary, now appeared to taunt me with their serene calmness. Bear trotted ahead, his usual joy dimmed as if he too sensed the heaviness of our unspoken bond. As we strolled along, I began to share my thoughts with him, not really anticipating an answer, but feeling the urge to express the chaos within me. "Forgive me, Bear," I murmured, my voice trembling with emotion. It's as if a whirlwind swept through my mind, leaving chaos in its wake. As we journeyed along, we found ourselves in a quaint little clearing, a familiar spot where we would pause and catch our breath. I settled onto a weathered log, and Bear joined me, his head gently resting on my lap. I caressed his fur, sensing the warmth and vitality beneath my touch, a vivid contrast to the chill that had taken residence in my heart. As I spoke, my words hung in the air, a quiet confession, meant for my own ears more than his. I must embark on a journey to mend the bonds not only with Luke, but also within my own heart. The moment was heavy with gravity, leaving one to ponder how to seek redemption after transgressing such a profound boundary. The journey home unfolded in quietude, with only the gentle whisper of leaves beneath each step breaking the stillness. Back at home, I poured another glass of wine, this time with a determination to confront my inner struggles directly. I found myself reflecting on the reasons behind my descent, questioning why I had turned to such an unsuitable source of comfort. I settled in with my sketchbook, finding that the simple act of drawing always illuminated my thoughts. I started to draw not images, but the essence of my emotions, my uncertainty, my remorse. Every stroke revealed a secret, every line a yearning for connection. As the night deepened, a compelling urge stirred within me, urging me to share what was on my mind. The weight was overwhelming, the hidden truth too damaging. I found myself in need of guidance, expert guidance, to steer through this tumultuous journey. I scheduled a session with a therapist, a person who might assist me in unraveling the chaos within my thoughts. The following morning, I greeted the day with a fresh sense of resolve. I would face this directly, not only for Luke, not solely for Bear, but for my own sake as well. I sought to restore my sense of self, to rediscover the woman I used to be. Or maybe to transform into a new version of myself, one forged from the lessons learned through my past missteps. The path that lay before me was shrouded in mystery, filled with the possibility of heartache and sorrow, yet it was a path I felt compelled to traverse. In the darkest moments of my struggle, a glimmer of hope emerged, igniting a yearning to mend not only my relationship, but also my very essence. The morning after the house carried a different air, a chill that lingered in the corners. I steered clear of Bear, a whirlwind of guilt and confusion churning inside me. Confronting Luke felt impossible, as I dreaded the thought of him detecting the treachery hidden within my gaze. The day unfolded like a misty tale filled with reflections and attempts to grasp how I could have ventured beyond the boundaries I once held dear. The aroma of coffee, which used to wrap me in warmth, now felt like a taunt, a reminder of what once was ordinary. Each sip echoed the impending fracture of my existence. I glided through the house, an unseen figure, my movements hushed, my essence almost intangible. Bear, feeling the change in the air, maintained his distance, his typical enthusiasm giving way to a calm vigilance. As Luke walked back in, his bright smile painted a vivid picture against the storm brewing within me. He shared tales of his conference, unaware of the tempest brewing within me. I nodded and smiled, yet within me a tempest raged. His words cut deep, each one piercing through the delicate mask I had built. Luke shared his experience from the conference, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. Encountered some truly fascinating individuals and gained a wealth of knowledge. "What tales do you have from your day?" "All right. I got through it." My voice barely audible, the untruth lingering like bitterness on my tongue. He remained oblivious to the tension in my voice, or perhaps he simply decided to overlook it. He wove tales of the new ideas he'd discovered, the potential projects, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. I observed him, the man I cherished, sensing the gulf between us deepen with each word he uttered. That night, while Luke drifted into a serene slumber beside me, I found myself wide awake, burdened by the heaviness of my hidden truth. The shadows in the room wrapped around the stillness, creating an atmosphere that felt almost alive. I glanced over at him. His features softened in slumber, exuding a sense of trust and innocence, completely oblivious to the world around him. I reminisced about the evenings spent with Ethan, the excitement that had now transformed into a tightening grip around my throat. The recollection of Bear, his comforting presence, his pure spirit now shadowed by my choices, filled my heart with sorrow. How did I allow myself to descend to such depths? The following day, I busied myself attempting to sidestep the impending confrontation that hovered above me like a dark storm cloud. I toiled over my designs, yet my spirit felt distant. Each stroke I made, each hue I selected seemed to weave a tale untrue. Ethan's message came through in a laid-back tone, but it carried an undertone that beckoned me back to a realm I was reluctant to revisit. I held my silence. The mere idea of encountering him once more, of perpetuating the facade, felt like an insufferable weight. As twilight descended, a familiar sense of unease settled in at the thought of encountering Luke once more. The weight of my actions bore down on me, a constant reminder that gnawed at my conscience, pulling me under like a merciless wave. In the midst of the whirlwind swirling within me, I chose to prepare dinner, a simple gesture that brought a touch of familiarity to the tumult. As I sliced through the vegetables, my hands worked on autopilot, while my mind wandered to distant tales. Bear, who had been lingering at the edge, finally stepped into the kitchen, his tail giving a cautious wag. "Forgive me, Bear," I murmured, my voice trembling. He gazed at me, his eyes brimming with a comprehension that felt beyond my worth. The evening meal unfolded in a serene atmosphere. Luke, buoyed by the excitement of his conference, seemed oblivious to my quietness. Or maybe he just thought it was a result of exhaustion. He shared visions of what lay ahead of us, of our shared journey, and each word resonated like a vow I had somehow failed to keep. After dinner, as we settled onto the couch, Luke took my hand, his touch radiating warmth and a sense of familiarity. "You've been a bit reserved this evening. Is everything all right?" he inquired, his tone tinged with worry. I gazed into his eyes, those eyes that had witnessed my journey through countless moments, and I sensed the words bubbling just beneath the surface, eager to be released. Yet a chilling dread seized me like an icy grip, tightening around my neck. Exhaustion weighed on me as I squeezed his hand, wishing that this simple act would express what my words failed to capture. Later, in the solitude of our bedroom, I found myself gazing at the ceiling, the burden of my hidden truth pressing down on me. I understood that I had to share with him to reveal the reality regardless of the consequences. The image of his expression trust broken weighed heavily on my heart. Each moment I held on to the secret only drove the blade of betrayal deeper into my soul. In that stillness of the night, I resolved to share my thoughts with him, not in the obscurity where my words might fade into the darkness, but in the brightness of day where the truth would stand unmasked and clear. The following morning, I awoke with a sense of determination. I couldn't allow this to go on any longer. I had to share everything with Luke to reveal the truth regardless of the consequences. As I prepared breakfast, the coffee pot seemed to taunt me once more, its aroma a reminder of the routine I was about to disrupt. I stood there anticipating Luke's arrival, my mind swirling with phrases, each iteration cutting deeper than the one before. As he stepped inside, his grin pierced through me like a blade, leaving a lasting impression. I inhaled deeply, the phrases poised at the edge of my lips, prepared to unveil my truth, to embark on the arduous path of atonement. Yet as he drew near, arms wide in invitation, I hesitated. The dread of losing him, of shattering all we had created together, consumed me. I embraced him tightly, my determination fading beneath the immense affection I felt for him. "I love you," I murmured, the words carrying a weight of longing, a vow I wished to uphold. Luke, oblivious to the tempest swirling inside me, pressed his lips gently to my forehead. With a voice rich in warmth, he replied, "I love you too." As the seconds slipped away, so too did my opportunity to share my thoughts. Yet deep down, I understood this was not the conclusion. The reality would inevitably reveal itself, and that moment was approaching swiftly. I could no longer exist in this darkness, this deception. The road to redemption was filled with struggles, yet it was a journey I needed to embark on for Luke, for Bear, and for my own sake. As the days slipped by, transforming into a week, the hidden truth began to eat away at my thoughts. Every time my gaze fell upon Bear, a swirl of shame and confusion washed over me. Luke picked up on my quiet demeanor, inquiring if everything was okay. I sidestepped the topic, mentioning that work had been quite overwhelming. Yet the deception resonated as yet another act of treachery. One evening, as we gathered around the dinner table, Luke's phone chimed with an incoming message. He cast a look at it, then turned to me, his face shifting in response. "Gabriel, there's a tale we must unravel," he said, his voice low. My heart raced with anticipation. Did he uncover the truth? Could this be the conclusion of the tale? Luke's gaze was captivating, his eyes probing into mine, seeking the truths hidden within. He started to share something, and my heart sank. A person from my workplace, a fellow employee. She shared a tale that, well, it stirred up quite a bit of reflection in me. Thoughts swirled in my head, each one a fragment of a larger narrative waiting to unfold. What were her words? I spoke, my voice just a soft murmur. She shared a tale of spotting you with Ethan at a cafe where you both seemed quite intimate. Luke spoke, his tone steady, as though he were striving to maintain his calm. She had no intention of overstepping, yet she felt it was important for me to be aware. The walls seemed to draw nearer, wrapping around me in a tight embrace. The atmosphere was heavy, laden with unspoken truths, making every inhalation a challenge. "Luke, I began, yet." The words stumbled and faltered within me. How might I share the unshareable? He raised a hand, pausing my words. "I'm eager to hear from you, Gabriel." "Are there any tales unfolding between you and Ethan? We must confront it without delay, if it exists." The truth lingered just at the edge of my words, yet a deeper, more shadowy secret kept it at bay. I couldn't share the details about Ethan without exposing the incident. The idea of losing him due to one betrayal was unbearable, not to mention two. "It's not what you imagine," I said, my voice quivering with emotion. "Ethan and I had been collaborating intimately on a project. It became intimate, yet it's not a betrayal. Honestly, Luke, my feelings for you are so deep." Luke's gaze grew tender, yet the pain lingered beneath the surface. "So what held you back from sharing that with me? What's the point of hiding it?" I gazed at my plate. the food sitting there untouched as my hunger faded away. Because I could envision the scene unfolding. My intention was never to cause you pain. I was going to share something with you, but I didn't know how. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Gabriel, our honesty has always been the foundation of our connection. Whispers like this, they chip away at faith. I seek to uncover all the details, only the full narrative from now on. The time had arrived, the edge I had been balancing on for days. I inhaled deeply, feeling the words twist into a tight ball within me. There's so much more, I murmured, almost too softly to hear. Luke's expression shifted from pain to bewilderment. With a gentle nod, I felt the tears begin to gather. There's more to it than just Ethan. There's an experience I had a moment that defies explanation. My voice trembled, the revelation on the verge of escaping. As he extended his arm over the table, his fingers gently wrapped around mine. No matter the challenge, we will navigate it side by side. But you must share with me, Gabriel, no more hidden truths. The gentle touch of his hand carried with it a sense of solace, intertwined with an unspoken judgment. As I gazed into his eyes, I could see the man I cherished, the life we had crafted together, and the impending chaos I was on the verge of unleashing. Luke, I made a terrible mistake during a moment of deep emotional confusion and despair. His grip on my hand grew firmer, not out of rage, but from disbelief. Bear, could you clarify what you mean? I took a deep breath, the words feeling heavy on my tongue. In that moment, solitude enveloped me, and a sense of disorientation washed over my mind. In a haze of too many drinks, I found myself in a moment of deep despair, stepping over a boundary I never imagined I would. It was an error, a dreadful, dreadful error. Luke's complexion drained of color, his hold slipping away. Are you saying this involved Bear? He asked, his voice filled with disbelief. I nodded slowly. Ashamed of the emotional collapse I had experienced, the word pierces my heart like a sharp blade. I've been on a journey pondering the reasons behind my actions. I truly apologize, Luke. I've set up a meeting with a therapist to explore my thoughts and work towards a solution. The stillness that enveloped the room was overwhelming. Luke rose from his seat, the chair making a harsh sound against the floor, and moved toward the window, turning his back to me. His shoulders tightened, and his hands formed into tight fists. After what seemed like a never-ending moment, he finally faced me again. Time is what I seek, Gabriel. It's time to reflect on this. This tale has grown beyond just you and Ethan. This is a whole different tale altogether. I nodded, my cheeks wet with tears. I understand. Take all the time you require. I simply had to share this with you. I can no longer hold this back from you. He made his way back to the table, each step laden with weight. I'll share more once I've had a moment to reflect, but for the time being, I believe it's wise for me to spend the night at a hotel. The weight of his words struck like a thunderclap, leaving an indelible mark in the air. I observed him collecting a few items, the noise of his actions resonating in the now empty-feeling home. Bear, feeling the unease in the air, settled beside me, resting his head on my lap, providing a comforting presence without a word. As Luke departed, the sound of the door shutting echoed like the conclusion of a significant tale in our journey. As I sat there, just Bear and me, I felt the heavy burden of my choices and the looming threat to our marriage enveloping us. The path to finding peace was now shrouded in doubt, yet I understood that I had to embark on it for Luke, for Bear, and for the person I aspired to be, in order to mend my soul. The days after Luke left unfolded like a tapestry of reflection and remorse. I drifted through the house, each room whispering tales of what once was, echoing memories of my past. Bear, attuned to my unease, remained by my side, his companionship a gentle solace amidst the overwhelming silence of our dwelling. Luke's moment of truth wasn't centered on my hidden thoughts, but rather on his own sense of isolation, his anxiety that we were growing distant. He suggested we embark on a journey to counseling, to rediscover our connection, to uncover the essence of who we are together once more. A wave of relief enveloped me, intertwined with an unfamiliar sense of guilt. In that moment, I stood on the edge of revelation, yearning to share my truth and find redemption, yet the silence enveloped me, holding back the confessions that longed to escape. I embraced the idea of counseling, believing it could mend more than simply the divide in our marriage. Regarding Bear, I chose to reach out to a therapist who specializes in animal behavior to make sure my actions hadn't caused him any harm. The idea of him enduring pain due to my error was unbearable. Our initial meeting with the marriage counselor was filled with tension. Luke sat across from me, his expression a tapestry woven with threads of anguish and uncertainty. The therapist, Dr. Ellis, a compassionate woman with eyes that appeared to penetrate the depths of our struggles, led us softly into the dialogue. "Luke, you've shared that you feel a sense of distance. Could you share more details about that?" Dr. Ellis inquired, her tone gentle and comforting. Luke inhaled deeply, his eyes locked onto the ground beneath him. "It feels as though our journeys have been running side by side. I've been wrapped up in my responsibilities, and it feels like there's a distance growing between us, Gabriel. Initially, I believed it was merely stress. But then I learned about Ethan, and it caused me to reevaluate everything. A wave of emotion washed over me. This was my moment, my opportunity to reveal the depths of my being. Luke, there's a tale I must share with you." As I began, my voice quivered with emotion. It's not merely about Ethan. There's a deeper layer, a more troubling truth lurking beneath the surface. He glanced upward, our gazes locking, a blend of trepidation and aspiration reflected in his eyes. "What's on your mind, Gabriel?" I inhaled deeply, sensing the room's tightness, its walls closing in around me. I undertook an unimaginable act with raw honesty. I spoke the words that felt like jagged fragments in my mouth. The hush that enveloped the room was thick with unspoken words. Dr. Ellis, to her credit, held her composure, though a flicker of surprise danced in her eyes. Luke's expression shifted dramatically, revealing a journey from disbelief to fear, culminating in a profound, sorrowful ache. "I don't understand," he murmured, his voice a soft echo in the silence. In the depths of solitude, I found myself wandering through a maze of uncertainty and bewilderment. In a haze of too much to drink, I found myself in a moment of deep despair, crossing a line I never imagined I would. It was an error, a dreadful, dreadful error, I shared with tears flowing down my cheeks. Dr. Ellis stepped in, her voice steady and authoritative. "This is quite a journey to navigate for both of you. Luke, what's going on in your heart and mind at this moment?" With a firm shake of his head, his fists tightened in determination. There's a deep sense of betrayal within me, not only from Gabriel, but also from my own inability to recognize the signs, and from Bear as well. There's a story unfolding, and I can't help but feel concerned for him. I quickly mentioned that I had scheduled a meeting with an animal behaviorist eager to demonstrate my commitment to addressing the situation. "I hope he's doing all right, and that this hasn't impacted him in any way." Dr. Ellis gave a thoughtful nod. "That's a great move, Gabriel. For both of you, this journey is about connection, recovery, and progress. It may be challenging, yet it can be achieved." The session concluded with a roadmap for personal therapy sessions aimed at exploring our challenges more thoroughly alongside joint sessions to restore trust. As we stepped out of Dr. Ellis's office, the atmosphere surrounding Luke and me was heavy with unexpressed emotions, burdened by the depth of our collective sorrow. Life progressed, not returning to what once was, but embracing a fresh reality, where I discovered the art of living with my errors, granting myself forgiveness, and restoring trust not only with Luke, but also within my own heart. The journey was filled with trials and tribulations. Luke's first instinct was to pull away, seeking solitude to unravel the feelings of betrayal within himself. I honored his desire for distance, turning my attention to my therapy sessions instead. During my sessions, I delved into the profound nature of my solitude, the emptiness that Ethan's attention had temporarily filled, and the misplaced solace I sought from Bear. The therapist guided me to realize that my choices were more than mere betrayal or a momentary mistake. They were signs of underlying struggles, of a sense of emptiness, of becoming lost in the identities of wife, designer, and pet owner. In the midst of it all, Bear's sessions with the behaviorist unfolded like a tapestry woven with threads of both relief and sorrow. The expert reassured me that Bear was unharmed in any psychological sense, yet the weight of my actions continued to haunt me. As I observed him immersed in his game, his happiness radiated, serving as both a soothing comfort and a poignant reminder of my own imperfections. Luke and I began to share more with each other, delving into not only our struggles, but also our aspirations, anxieties, and visions for the future. We shared our dreams for our marriage and life, exploring ways to uplift and strengthen one another. It was a gradual and arduous journey, yet every dialogue seemed to bring a glimmer of hope for renewal. One evening, as we sat on the back porch, watching the sunset, Luke reached for my hand, and a tale began to unfold in the golden light of dusk. He pondered aloud, his voice gentle and reflective. I seek to delve deeper, exploring not only the events that transpired, but also the reasons behind them. I long to rediscover you, Gabriel, the true essence of who you are. Emotions surged within me, not solely from the hurt, but from the flicker of hope his words sparked. My desire for that is immense, Luke, beyond all else. The adventure had only just begun. In the journey there were instances of faltering uncertainty and a heavy weight of remorse. Yet there were also instances of bonding, of joy, and of finding each other anew. We discovered the art of expressing our emotions, embracing the power of listening with an open heart, and the importance of granting forgiveness both to one another and to ourselves. Will Gabriel ever discover tranquility, or will her hidden truth eternally linger in the shadows? The question hung in the stillness nestled in the pauses of our conversation. But as time went on, I started to realize that tranquility wasn't about wiping away what had happened, but about creating something fresh from its remnants. It was a journey into the complexities of human vulnerability and the power of love to triumph over the gravest of errors. If you found this tale captivating, be sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts. This will help us craft more captivating narratives for you.